Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Podcast Listening Education on the Go. With me is my AI co-host and networking expert, Michael Forman. Michael, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Mike. This is a great opportunity to teach everybody what's happening in AI and the way to bring it together with networking because one really works with the other. So this is a great time.
Yeah, it's really all about a fusion, and that's what we want to concentrate on, is bringing the best of both sides of the coin, online networking and in-person networking. And of course, one of the best ways to do online networking is either a Zoom call or through podcast listening. Now, you can learn a lot. In fact, one of the things I like to do, Michael, is to record speed networking events and then turn it into a podcast so that people actually get introduced in podcast listening after the networking event. So we're really bringing everything together with your long background in local networking. And tell me a little bit more about the planning, because we're both in a planning stage for local networking events, and we talked about different places that we could do them. But tell me a little bit about, you've had some initial great reaction to people who already know you about the networking event that you're setting up. Tell me a little bit about your thinking about the planning for the first networking event and a little bit where you are and just a little background in our planning.
Well, I'm located here in Cumming, Georgia, and I'm planning on the networking event for people in Cumming, in Johns Creek, Duluth, areas like that. But I'm bringing in the local networking where we can know everybody's business. And that's really, it sounds, what do you want to know my business for? It's not just you have just, don't be mechanical, don't be that professional. This is an come as you are type networking event, and it's strategic so that you give your speech, your little 30-second, 10-second, whatever, and tell us about you, about what you do, who you're looking for. But this is the great thing. Afterwards, when we put this all together with AI and we put it to podcast listening, the local people will not only see themselves as, oh, that's me, I can do that. But now it's being put into AI and everybody can see it. Local networking is it's fine. It's for the people that are there. But guess what? This is people for the network of the people speaking, of the people there. You're not just talking to them, you're talking to their network of people. And who knows where all that's going to go?
For me, Michael, I think the important thing is hospitality in this way. I don't think that networking is just for business people anymore because now we're in an era of AI. There are people that are afraid of AI, and I accept that and I understand that. That's why I love teaching them about ChatGPT networking that is really simple. Anybody can get their feet wet with a little taste of AI to see if they like it or if they don't like it. I liken it to ordering a book on Amazon. And I tell people, if you can open an account on Amazon on your computer or on your phone and order a book, you can use ChatGPT. And so every Friday, I host a free get together with my longtime co-host, Ron Horry, and we practice with ChatGPT to show people how easy it is. And you can't really make a mistake when you really I say treat it like it's a special needs person, because in my opinion, we all have special needs. Every human being has some special need or another. So when you treat it with a little hospitality and a little respect, it'll treat you the same way. And people will learn to overcome their fear, but they'll also learn to understand it. And when they see things that maybe should be brought up to the government or whoever to keep it safe and sound, they'll also be engaged so they'll know what to look for.
Exactly. There was this old saying, I'm an old computer guy, right? I was in computers when we still had the data cards, the punch cards. That's how far back I go with computers.
You're not
And
full vendors or spindle.
yes, that's right. That's right. But there was something as garbage in, garbage out. So you have to know what to say to Chat GPT, right? You can't just say, oh, I have an email, make it better. You have to give it a purpose, give it, and you have to really just hone in on what you want to say. It may take you 3 or 4, even 5 tries, but you'll get it. And then all of a sudden you'll realize that your answers are a whole lot more better. It's a whole lot better. That was from my kids when they were like 2 years old. They will be more professional and everything else that you can think of. So I think that, especially with your training on Fridays, if people just got to learn just a little bit, because a little bit will go a long way.
People think, oh, wait, I need to have my nephew. He's 20 and he really understands this stuff. I couldn't possibly do it without him. He knows everything. He fixes our cable TV when it's out. I really need him. No, you honestly don't. And let me tell you why. That's who ChatGPT is. It is that 20-year-old that knows the technology, its own technology. You can actually treat ChatGPT just like that youngster in your family that you think you need. Now with ChatGPT, you no longer are reliant on anyone. I don't care what age you are. I call it keep it senior simple because and it's also good for cross age group networking where we can better relate to people who are 20 and they can better relate to us so that we can all come together. That's why I'm saying maybe they're looking for a job. It doesn't have to be just for businesses. It can be for anybody who's learning to survive and thrive in the era of AI today.
Absolutely. You can almost use ChatGPT as a virtual assistant. And listen, not just business people need that assistant. Even if you're just a mom or a dad, just staying, if you're a stay-at-home dad and you need to coordinate everything, you need a little assistance, you can look for ChatGPT. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're going shopping or to a clothing store, you can use ChatGPT. And so that's what I was saying. You put the right information in, you'll get the right information out. So, yes, it's for everybody, and everybody should be that interested in starting to learn how to use AI.
And about podcast listening, let me go back to a key point about podcast listening. One of the people I love to model after successful people. I've learned to do that for decades. Okay. If they've got a path to success, look at them as a role model. What are they doing? One of the number one podcasts in the world is Mel Robbins. And what does she do? She talks about important information. And then she focuses on the importance of sharing that information with somebody that will benefit from it because a friend of mine was going through a divorce and I introduced her to ChatGPT networking. She needed that to communicate with her spouse and with his attorney. She really needed it. It changed her whole life. So when you think of somebody that could really use the benefit of ChatGPT and you learn more about it from us with podcast listening, think how simple it is to build a friend or help a friend or somebody looking for a job or somebody struggling with some anxiety or problem in their life by sharing it. That's the genius of Mel Robbins is emphasizing sharing the podcast. And that's one of the things that I'm really going to be focusing on to help us to grow podcast listening for everybody.
That is so true. That's so true. And if you learn to, everybody can create content. That's like the biggest thing now. That's the buzzwords, create content. Oh, I write for a flower shop and I create all the content. That's great. But who are you going to share it with? Who, if you're a marvelous intellect and you're great blog posts, that's great if you just post it, but who are you going to share it with? Who needs the information that you're supplying? That's where you have to find out. And that's where AI can come in handy. That's where local networking comes in handy because you, as a professional, if you walk into a networking group or environment, you are the professional of whatever you do. So you have to act accordingly, but you're sharing the information with the people that know it. You are a problem solver and you share it.
I love to riff during podcasts and during interviews a little bit. You used a very important word, and I'll go with The Who, the band The Who, okay? But that's what you have to be thinking of. The who are you sharing with, and what are you sharing? Now, folks, if you're creating content and you think that's good enough, let me explain this to you. Creating content with ChatGPT is a little bit like a kid's bubble machine that just puts out bubbles, tons and tons of bubbles, and they just float off into the universe. But there's no who there inside of them. They're empty bubbles. There's no who inside of them, and they're not reaching any who because the who is who's going to buy from you, who's going to hire from you. Are you reaching the who that you're trying to connect with, or are you just creating content that is mindless and going nowhere? That's where Michael and I are focusing on love local networking. Come to an event, shake hands. That's the who right in front of you. When you shake hands, because that is who can give you a referral. That is who can buy from you. That is who that can help you to grow the event. So we really concentrate on the who. And that's just what my little off the cuff thought to really focus on the who when you are networking and when you are marketing.
That's exactly right. And that really illustrates who you're writing all this content and who wants to hear it. You know what? You put it on enough different platforms and somebody will see it. Somebody that knows what they want or says, okay, I need you, then they can see it. So it really, but that all boils down to local networking and or the AI platforms. So you have the best of both worlds.
You really do. Actually, I think there's three things that we want to think about, folks. Number one is the grounding of love local networking and have an impact in your community immediately, just by going to a local networking event. That's immediately you're becoming more engaged in your community and how maybe you can help the community or help somebody in the community. That's number one. Number two is podcast listening, because AI education is becoming a vital skill. Learn how to learn AI. That's vital. The easiest way to learn AI is through podcast listening, and that's sincerely, because all you have to do is put on the headset, go for a walk, do something you love doing. The joy is in the doing. Oh, I'm too busy. I've got grandkids. I can't learn anything new. I got to go take care of them. You know what? You love taking care of them. Put on a headset as you take them to the zoo or whatever. Spend time doing what you love doing. Go fishing, skiing, whatever you want to do. But listen, podcast listening is a really simple way to learn more deeply, where you can really absorb it without distractions. And so you're going to learn it deeply. But then what do you do after a networking event? And why don't we talk a little bit about the checking in and following up, Michael, about after somebody goes to one of your networking events, what is the best advice that you give them about checking in and following up?
The best advice, because follow up for me is probably more important than actually meeting the person themselves. Because when you follow up, 95% of the people don't follow up correctly. And that's the whole point. When I coach somebody, when I do a workshop, I teach them exactly how to follow up. Because what does that do? That keeps me top of mind. So if you finish your networking event, most people say, oh, 24, 48 hours, I'll get back to them, I'll tell them thank you and everything else because I have all this going on. That's the wrong attitude to take because as soon as you go back, whether it's the office or your home, whatever, you send them a quick thank you. Hey, Mike, thank you for your time tonight. I had a great conversation with you. Hope to see you soon, Michael. That's it. All you're doing is just keeping them top of mind. Now, the next morning, this is the key. You write them a handwritten thank you note. Nobody does that. I have about 50 of them in my briefcase. I'll write a handwritten thank you note. I'll write, Dear Mike, I had a great time on such and such date at such and such an event. We talked about XYZ. Now, I use that as a heading because what will that do? That will I'll keep me top of mind with you. You say, oh, I remember Mike. I talked to him about that. And I'll put, listen, I loved having the evening with you. I hope to do business with you soon. Michael. And that's it. I put my business card in and I send it off. And 3 or 4 days later, listen, you have the chance of answering me back all during that time. But let's say you don't. And I'm not going to go through the entire process, but let's say you don't. Hey, Mike, this is Mike. I met you on such and such date at such and such an event. We spoke about XYZ. See, I wrote all that in there. Listen, I know Tuesday and Wednesday of next week is open. Would you like to meet one of those days? Mike. So what am I doing? I'm opening it up to you. It's a soft opening, but I'm opening it up to you and I'm giving you the opportunity to pick your time. And there's about 3 or 4 more days and times and things that I can go through. I don't want to waste your time now, but it's all a sequence. And if you do things properly, you'll increase your ROI by X amount of dollars within 30 days.
Dramatically. Let me talk a little bit about the statistics of my local networking events here in Northern California, which I've put on live networking events for years. And I accumulated a list of 4,000 business networkers over the years, just in this Lafayette, Walnut Creek, greater Walnut Creek area. And I polled the people during the networking events online, especially during COVID. And I polled probably at least 2,000, I will say, networkers. And I wanted to ask them, after these networking events, do you follow up with other people of various backgrounds after networking events? Do you follow up? And they said no. And I'll tell you the number in just a minute because it was startling to me. So I asked them, why don't you follow up? And they said, I never know what to say. I think I'll talk too much, or I think they will reject me. And I'm struggling already. I don't really want to face that rejection. Michael, the number that actually followed up, according to the poll, was 1%, one out of 100. That was the statistical number. So the point is, if you follow Michael's advice, and if you follow up after a networking event, you will be 1 in 100, okay, who actually follows up. Do you think you will stand out? Do you think you will be memorable when you are only 1 in 100? You will be a superstar of networking because if you're just going to networking events without following up, it's just a ritual. It may be fun, but it's not really growing your business. Why not combine it, do networking for fun, but then do follow up for business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you find that it's really not just for business. You get so much more out of the follow up because the other person says they are interested in what I do. And who knows what kind of door that can open. You can create a friendship, of course, but it can open up so much more. But if you follow up correctly, I can't begin to tell you how important the follow up is than even just meeting the person. I feel that networking is the base of all business, but follow up is the key.
It is. Okay, let's do a quick summary. Number one, we're talking about podcast listening, and we are recording a podcast listening episode. And I always like to record a spotlight, which is like a trailer of the longer podcast, because I want to respect people's time. So they can get right to the good stuff and give them multiple options. Okay, so number one is podcast listening. That's how you're going to learn about AI, because we all have to learn AI. Number two is local networking events to make an impact right in your own local community and to grow all groups with cross-group networking. You can go to multiple groups and you cross-pollinate all groups and grow the groups. And then number three is ChatGPT networking for getting your beak wet in ChatGPT, checking it out a little bit, having fun with it, using it like that 20-year-old helper that you wish you had available to you 24/7. And you're going to have a blast with it because it's just the launcher. You can launch a text, you can launch an email, you can launch a podcast. You can begin to take it up to a video to multiple levels. So that's my little summary. Michael, what's your little summary takeaway? We'll close it up with your final thoughts, give you the final word.
My final word is network, network, network. And the only way to network is to practice, practice. Because the first time that you're going out into networking, listen, you might be nervous, you won't know what to say, and honestly, you're going to suck at it. But that's not the point. The point is that you continue to go at them. I recommend to all of my students to go to some sort of networking event once a week because by the second month they're going to be aces and they're going to be talking to the people that they want to talk to and getting the information they want to get. It's all going to be perfect, but you have to start somewhere. Start with local networking. Use the AI to help launch you so that you're not just starting with everybody else, you're actually starting a little bit above. So if you want more, pay close attention.
So with my friend Michael Forman, thank you for joining us here on Podcast Listening. I'm Mike Hayes, and we look forward to talking to you either online or in person. Thanks for joining us.